Breaking today, Prince William doubles down. According to multiple sources, it's now a matter of when, not if, he strips Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their royal titles.
What is Meghan Markle thinking? How this woman is completely unraveling? Because now she doesn't get that a royal title, it is not property. She's now threatening to sue Prince William.
A curious phenomenon has taken hold of the global news cycle. On one side of the Atlantic, Prince Harry has issued yet another press release, a noisy, frantic attempt to garner attention at the exact moment his brother was the focus of the world's gaze. It is a pattern we have seen repeated for years. The noise, the timing, the desperate need to compete for the spotlight. But while the media scrambles to analyze Harry's latest statement, a much darker, far more consequential story is unfolding in the silence of London. What nobody is talking about is that while Meghan was doing interviews, filming Netflix shows, and writing memoirs, Prince William was playing a completely different game. We are not talking about petty family drama or leaks to the tabloids. We are talking about high-level chess moves that could literally reshape the entire structure of the British monarchy with a single signature.
She is not a blood royal, so herself, she's not titled. People keep calling her Duchess Meghan, putting the title before the name. That only applies to blood royals.
There were no cameras present for these meetings. There were no dramatic announcements from Buckingham Palace. Just quiet, strategic planning that has been happening behind the thick walls of Kensington Palace and Clarence House for years. To understand the gravity of this situation, one must first understand the fundamental divide between the king and his heir. King Charles believes in mercy. He is a man of sentiment, a father first and a monarch second. He believes in second chances, in tea and talks, and in the hope that eventually the prodigal son will return and the family will be whole again. But William has come to a completely different, far colder conclusion. William believes in protecting the institution at all costs. And what he has been building in secret is a mechanism that could change everything for the Sussexes. The title that made Meghan famous, the Duchess, attached to every jam jar, podcast, and book cover, might not even be hers in a few years. Once you understand how this plan actually works, you realize that this isn't about revenge. It is about evolution. And Prince William is already 3 steps ahead.
But I do feel that actually having done it once with Andrew, you can do it again with Harry and Meghan.
For years, the public has watched the dynamic between Charles and William play out. Charles's philosophy has always been rooted in reconciliation. He was raised in an era where keeping the family together was paramount, and despite the fractures, he has consistently tried to leave the door ajar. There is something noble about that approach, the idea that families should always find a way back to each other. But William has been watching this strategy fail in real time. He has watched as the institution takes hit after hit, absorbing the damage from tell-all interviews, docuseries, and memoirs, all while the palace maintains a dignified silence. There was apparently a pivotal moment, a private conversation between father and son, where the dynamic shifted. William allegedly looked at the situation and realized that his father's mercy wasn't healing the wound, it was letting the infection spread. He reportedly told the king that his mercy was killing them, not the family, but the monarchy itself.
Meghan's actually threatened that she's going to take out some sort of terrible thing if it does happen, that she won't allow that to happen. But we'll see what the fight is when it gets going.
This is where the divergence becomes clear. Charles sees broken family bonds that need repair. He sees his son Harry, his daughter-in-law, and his grandchildren, and he reacts with emotion. William, however, sees a structural vulnerability. He sees a business model that is being exploited. He realizes that an institution that has survived for 1,000 years cannot continue to survive if it allows people to opt out of the work while keeping the prestige. Where his father sees people he loves making mistakes, William sees a glitch in the system that needs to be patched before it destroys the operating system. And William isn't waiting to inherit the throne to fix it. He is moving the pieces on the board right now.
Or any monarch who dares take her title away. Meghan is only using a royal title, her husband's royal title that he holds for now.
He has been assembling a team that most people don't even know exists. This isn't a PR team, it is a council of war. He has brought in constitutional historians who understand the deepest traditions of the crown. He has consulted with strategists who know how the monarchy actually functions as a political entity. What they are working on isn't some angry response to a Netflix show. They are drafting a complete framework for the future of the British monarchy. They are writing clear, specific, non-negotiable rules about who counts as royal and who is just related to royalty. Because right now, the lines are fuzzy. The current system relies on tradition, assumption, and the gentleman's agreement that family members will behave with honor. William wants to lock it down. He wants a system that is impossible to misinterpret.
But they have pushed themselves so far. They have behaved so badly. They still are. And they're taking what happens within the royal family and smashes it.
The endgame William is planning is straightforward, but revolutionary in its implications. He wants to give the reigning monarch the explicit, codified authority to decide who is officially in and who is officially out. This decision wouldn't be based on feelings, bloodlines, or family pressure. It would be based on one simple metric: service. If you work for the institution, you serve the crown. You keep the title, the status, the security, and the whole package. If you step back to chase independence, to do your own thing, to sign commercial deals, that is entirely your choice. But the institution doesn't come with you. The royal part doesn't follow you out the door. His whole philosophy boils down to a single, powerful idea. If the crown means everything, it can't mean anything to everyone.
And Meghan just thinks she's too wonderful to be left out of it. And she will win because she'll go to court if she doesn't keeps her title. I don't know, it's very hard. It's very hard to lose your title. But I do really hope that it's taken away. I mean, she's complained for over 6 years now.
Exclusivity is what gives the monarchy its power. The moment everyone is a little bit royal, nobody is really royal. The moment you can be a duchess while selling jam on Instagram, the title loses its meaning. It becomes a novelty, a celebrity accessory, rather than a mark of constitutional service. William isn't trying to be mean or vindictive. He is trying to understand what makes the monarchy work in the first place. He is looking at the next 50, 100, 200 years and asking what this thing needs to survive. And his answer is boundaries. Clear, enforced, non-negotiable boundaries.
Nobody wants her. She's not going to listen to anything she's been told. And so let them live together anywhere they like, do what they like. As for their children,
the team he has assembled isn't working in a vacuum. They have been quietly consulting with experts from Sweden, Denmark, and the Netherlands, places where monarchies have successfully modernized without losing their relevance. They are building a playbook based on what actually works in the 21st century. And this is what makes William's approach so different from anything Charles would ever do. William isn't interested in compromise on this issue. His father would negotiate, try to find a middle ground, a half-in, half-out solution that makes everyone feel included. William's approach is binary. Here are the rules. They apply to everyone equally. If you don't like them, that is okay, but they aren't changing. In his mind, the monarchy isn't a family business you can opt in and out of based on what is convenient for your lifestyle. It is an institution with a specific purpose, and everyone involved needs to be all in or all out.
That the title does not belong to Rachel Meghan Markle. All royal titles belong to the monarchy.
Now, this isn't just abstract strategy. There is an actual mechanism to make it happen, and it has a boring sounding name that makes most people's eyes glaze over. Letters patent. It sounds like dry legal paperwork, but this is legitimately one of the most powerful tools the British monarchy has at its disposal. It is basically an executive order from the sovereign. It is how the crown officially changes the rules about titles, succession, and who is royal and who isn't. It doesn't require a vote in parliament. It doesn't require a referendum. It just requires one document and one signature, and the entire structure shifts.
Just like she falsely claimed that her last name is Sussex, it's not. Well, in all this quagmire that is Meghan Markle's ignorance, we're going to get into how she's planning to sue Prince William.
To understand the power of this tool, you have to look at history. Back in 1917, King George V looked around and realized there were simply too many people running around with royal titles. There were distant cousins, German relatives, and people with tenuous claims to the throne. It was getting ridiculous, and it was diluting the prestige of the House of Windsor. So he issued letters patent that basically said, from now on, we are trimming this list way down. And it worked. Just like that, a bunch of people who had been considered royal suddenly weren't anymore. There was no drama, no debate, just a rewrite of the rules. That is the thing about the monarchy. It doesn't need approval. The sovereign decides, the document gets signed, and it is done. Most people assume that the 1917 decision was set in stone forever, but that is not the case. Any monarch can issue new letters patent. It has happened multiple times throughout history, usually when the institution needs to adapt to changing circumstances. And this is exactly what William's team has been working on. They have reportedly already drafted a new version. It exists right now, sitting in a vault at Kensington Palace, ready to go whenever the time comes. The update they have written is simple. Only working royals, people who are actively serving the institution full time, get to keep their titles and status. Everyone else is family, they are loved, they are invited to Christmas, but they are not royal in the official sense. Think about what that means for a second. This isn't something that requires years of negotiation or public votes. It is one signature. The king signs it, it becomes official, and suddenly the entire landscape changes. Meghan's whole identity gets a reset. Everything she has built, everything she has marketed herself as, runs through that one word, Duchess. Take away the official recognition of that title, and the foundation shifts under her feet. She would still technically be married to a prince, yes. But a prince without institutional backing, without the royal highness status being recognized, is just a courtesy title. It doesn't carry the weight. It doesn't open the same doors. It doesn't have the same currency in the rooms where she has been operating. Meghan's entire empire runs on that title. Her speaking engagements, her production deals, her partnerships with major brands, it all comes back to that royal connection. She isn't just another celebrity. She is royalty who stepped away. That is the angle. That is what makes her different. That is what opens doors. Her podcast was Archetypes with Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Her books are by the Duchess of Sussex. Every interview, every appearance, every brand collaboration features that title right there in the introduction. It is the foundation everything else is built on. Now, imagine that foundation disappears. Not through a dramatic fight, but through paperwork. Take that away, and what happens to the speaking fees? What happens when she is being introduced at events and it is just Meghan Markle? The rooms might still be interested, but are they as interested? Someone close to the situation noted that without that word, there is no anchor. Celebrity status fades, people move on, new personalities come up, attention shifts, but monarchy is permanent. It is institutional. It has 1,000 years of history backing up its credibility. She could still do media projects, still be famous, but there is a massive difference between being a celebrity and being royalty. One is about popularity. The other is about legitimacy. The brutal part is how quiet this could be. There wouldn't need to be a showdown, just an official update released through normal channels, and suddenly the landscape is different. The entertainment industry is ruthless about calculating value. They aren't paying for personality alone. They are paying for the unique angle, the exclusive access. Remove the royal legitimacy, and the calculation changes. Where did William get the confidence for this radical move? He has been studying what other monarchies are doing, and one case in particular caught his attention: Denmark. Queen Margrethe II made a move a few years ago that sent shockwaves through European royal circles. She stripped 4 of her grandchildren of their royal titles. Just like that. These weren't distant relatives or people who had caused scandals. These were her own grandchildren. Her reasoning was straightforward. The monarchy needed clarity, not confusion. Too many people with royal titles made it unclear who actually represented the crown. So she simplified it. William watched that whole thing unfold. He followed the Danish headlines closely. He paid attention to how the public reacted. He studied how Queen Margrethe handled the aftermath. The move wasn't universally popular at first. There was family hurt and public debate, but ultimately the monarchy came out stronger. It was clearer, more focused. People understood who the working royals were and what they represented. The institution tightened up. William took notes on how she did it. Quiet, decisive, no apologies. She didn't try to please everyone. She made the decision, announced it, and moved forward. The monarchy adapted, the family adjusted, life went on. His big takeaway was that monarchies survive by changing before they have to, not by waiting until there is a crisis. Behind closed doors, William has been reaching out to experts across Europe, asking the same question: how do we stay relevant without losing what makes us special? And the answer he keeps finding is boundaries. The successful monarchies are the ones where everyone knows who is in and who is out. No gray areas, no confusion, no room for people to use royal status while picking and choosing responsibilities. Denmark did it, and it worked. Meanwhile, on the other side of the Atlantic, Meghan's team started picking up on things. They heard whispers. Terms like title reform and restructuring started floating around. At first, it might have seemed like just palace gossip. But then the whispers got more specific. Phones started blowing up. Emergency meetings were called. Everyone was asking, what now? Meghan's team isn't stupid. They know how much of her positioning depends on that royal connection. So they started gaming out scenarios, looking for angles to protect what they had built. Someone on her team floated an idea that was honestly pretty bold. What if they just trademarked Duchess of Sussex? Make it a business name, a brand identity that exists independently of royal approval. Own it so it can't just be taken away. On the surface, it was clever. If the title becomes a registered trademark, then it is a brand, and brands can be protected. But the palace saw it coming from a mile away. Before Meghan's team could even get the paperwork filed effectively, palace advisors had already quietly ensured that the commercial use of royal titles was locked down. They shut down the path. One person close to the situation described it as bringing checkers to a chess match. While Meghan's team was thinking about brand protection, William's people had already mapped out every possible move and closed off every exit. The message was crystal clear. The crown gives titles, and the crown controls how those titles get used. You don't get to take royal status and turn it into something else. That isn't how this works. And that is when reality started setting in for Meghan's team. This wasn't Charles being diplomatic. This was a completely different approach from a completely different generation. William wasn't interested in negotiating. He was redrawing the boundaries, and those boundaries didn't include workarounds. How did the palace get so far ahead? It comes down to preparation, serious, methodical preparation. William's team didn't just brainstorm, they brought in specialists, historians who know every precedent, strategists who understand protocol. They mapped everything out, every scenario, every possible response, every loophole someone might try to exploit. They went through it all and figured out how to address it before it became an issue. And the brilliant part is that they used the existing system to do it. They didn't need to invent new rules. Everything they needed was already there, built into centuries of royal protocol. They just had to activate it. The monarchy has been dealing with challenges to its authority for 1,000 years. People have tried everything to exploit it. And every single time the system adapted and created safeguards, William's team just dusted those safeguards off. They identified which existing protocols applied to modern situations. It was like finding a rule that had been on the books forever, but nobody remembered to enforce. And the support for all this came quietly. Everything was framed as modernization, streamlining, and clarifying protocols for the 21st century. Who is going to argue with making things clearer? Who is going to push back against modernization? That framing was genius. It positioned everything as forward-thinking evolution rather than punitive action. Because everything was rooted in existing tradition, there was no real angle to fight it. You can't argue against the monarchy using its own systems. You can't claim it is unfair when these same protocols have existed for generations. This is what institutions do when they feel threatened. They don't panic, they don't react emotionally, they don't engage in public battles. They activate systems that have been built over centuries, specifically for moments like this. So here we are, after all the interviews, all the headlines, all the drama, this is where things have landed. Buckingham Palace has a vibe now that is just different. It is calm, it is controlled. It feels like they finally figured out where they are going after years of just reacting. There is a confidence there that wasn't there before. Even the critics are looking at this and admitting that it is smart. Whatever you think about the institution, you have to admit this was strategic thinking at its finest. William went from being the guy waiting his turn to the guy who is clearly already leading. He is not waiting to be king to reshape things. He is doing it now, quietly and methodically. His whole approach has been dignity over drama. No public fights, no responding to accusations, just patient, strategic moves that let the system do the work. The monarchy didn't just survive this situation, it got a complete refresh. It looks sharper now, more intentional. For the first time in forever, the institution seems confident instead of defensive. Meanwhile, Meghan's story continues, but on different terms. The royal connection that defined everything for so long is shifting. The question that hangs in the air is, without the institution backing her up, who is she in those rooms? What is the pitch when the royal mystique isn't part of the package anymore? The crown didn't need to destroy anyone. It didn't need dramatic confrontations or vindictive moves. It just evolved. It adapted. It used the same systems that have kept it relevant for 1,000 years and applied them to a modern problem. William and his team played the long game. While everyone else was focused on the noise, they were building something structural. They showed that you don't have to be the loudest voice in the room to be the most powerful. You just need to understand the system better than anyone else. The crown didn't need to destroy anyone. It just needed to wait. And now the wait is over and the Shadow King's plan is in motion.